welcome to the deep dive. You know how this works. You bring the curiosity, and we bring the deep dive. And this time, we're going all in on April.
All in on April.
But, not just the simple stuff.
Right.
You sent us a really interesting book called April, 90 Engaging Facts for Curious Minds. And so we're going to dive deep into that.
Yeah, I think even people who, maybe have April as their birth month or something like that and feel like they have a special connection to it, I think they're going to learn a lot.
I think so, too.
About this month that maybe they didn't realize before.
So to kick things off, let's talk about April Fool's Day.
Okay.
We all know it. We've all either pranked someone or been pranked.
Right.
But did you know that there's actually a theory that connects April Fool's Day all the way back to the switch from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar?
Oh, wow.
So apparently back in the day when they made that switch, the people who stuck with the old April New Year's Day were kind of seen as like fools.
Like they were behind the times.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's so funny how something that we think of as so lighthearted actually has this, kind of historical...
Deep historical roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
It's like a cultural inside joke.
It really is.
That's lasted for centuries.
I love that.
And speaking of history, I found this really interesting fact about Shakespeare.
Okay.
Did you know that he was both born ANZ, died on April 23rd?
No way. Really?
Yeah. What are the odds of that?
Wow. That's incredible.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right?
It is. And, it makes you think about this interesting kind of duality that we find throughout April.
Duality?
Yeah. We have birth and death. We have beginnings and endings kind of all wrapped up in this one month.
So it's not all just sunshine and rainbows then?
Well, not exactly. I mean, think about this. You have the Titanic sinking April 14th and 15th, 1912.
Oh, right.
A huge tragedy, obviously.
Yeah.
But then, just a few decades later, on April 15th, 1947, Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier in Major League Baseball, which is a moment of incredible progress and hope.
Yeah, so it's like you said, this really interesting duality of like really, terrible things and then these moments of huge progress.
Exactly. And that kind of continues when we look at science and innovation in April.
Okay.
On the one hand, you have incredible advancements like Igor Sikorsky's first successful helicopter flight in 1940.
Wow.
And then, fast forward almost 41 years to 1981.
Okay.
And we have the first space shuttle test flight.
So from helicopters to space shuttles, April's been a month of reaching for the skies.
Literally.
Yeah. Literally. It's all about pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about the technology itself.
Oh.
It's really a reflection of this deeper human drive to explore.
Oh, okay.
To push beyond what we think is possible.
I like that. I'm starting to rethink April.
Yeah.
It's not just a month on the calendar.
Right.
It's like a stage for some of humanity's biggest moments.
Exactly.
So what else is there?
Well, we also see the birth of some really important global initiatives in April.
Oh, okay, like what?
So on April 7th, 1948, the World Health Organization, or WHO, is founded.
Right.
And that was a pivotal moment for global health.
Yeah, it makes sense with all this talk of, progress and challenges.
Right.
It seems like having a group dedicated to health worldwide would be pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what else?
And then on April 22nd, 1970, the first Earth Day takes place.
Oh, yeah.
Which eventually leads to the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA.
Okay.
So, it's like April is prompting us to think bigger.
Yeah.
To consider the well-being of the entire planet.
So we've gone from the microscopic, viruses to the entire planet.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It really is.
I used to say, I came into this thinking April was all about baby animals. And,
Springtime.
Yeah, springtime and picnics and stuff.
Right.
But this is giving me a whole new perspective.
It's not that those things aren't part of April, but there's so much more going on beneath the surface.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a month of complexities.
Yeah.
Contradictions, triumphs, and tragedies all kind of intertwine.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
Exactly.
Yeah, but...
And it's not just confined to science and global events either.
Oh.
April's got its share of cultural milestones, too.
Okay, like what?
Well, for one, The Lion King premieres on Broadway on April 13th, 1997.
Oh, wow.
And just a few decades earlier, ABBA wins Eurovision with Waterloo on April 6th, 1974.
So we've got groundbreaking science, global initiatives, and pop culture moments.
It's quite a month.
It really is. Is there anything April can't do?
Well, it's not so much about what April can or can't do.
Okay.
It's more about what humans have chosen to do.
Oh,
You know, the accomplishments, the missteps, all the expressions of creativity, they just happen to be happening within this particular time frame.
Right.
that.
So it's not like April's this like magical force
Right.
making things happen. It's just the time of year when these things happen to have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a canvas, and we're painting the story.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it's a story full of, lots of different colors.
Absolutely.
And unexpected twists and turns.
Lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, for sure.
Keeps things interesting.
It does. So what else have we got?
Well, let's dive into some of the more specific events that happened in April, shall we?
Lead the way. I'm ready for more April surprises. Okay, so we're seeing all these different sides to April.
Yeah.
It's not just about those April showers bringing May flowers, right?
Right.
It's about all these events and discoveries and even setbacks that have shaped the world.
Yeah, it's like April is a microcosm of the human experience itself.
Oh, I like that.
Full of beauty and challenges,
Yeah.
progress and reflection.
So we were talking earlier about Earth Day.
Yeah.
And how it kind of spurred the creation of the EPA.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, what other seeds of change were planted in April
That's a great question.
throughout history,
Yeah, if we look at the world of health, we see similar patterns emerging.
Okay.
April, as you probably know, is IBS Awareness Month,
Right.
which is shedding light on a condition that affects a lot of people.
Yeah, it does.
And it's also Parkinson's Awareness Month.
Right.
So it's like April is giving us this little nudge
Yeah.
to pay attention to these important health issues
Right.
that often don't get enough attention.
Yeah. And not just on a personal level.
Right.
But on a global scale, too.
Exactly. And April isn't just about raising awareness.
Okay.
It also marks some really pivotal moments in medical history.
Oh, like what?
Well, for instance, in April 1955, the polio vaccine was finally declared effective.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Yeah, a disease that had terrorized generations for, so long
Right.
was finally being brought under control.
Did the source material mention anything about, what led up to that breakthrough?
Actually, it did.
Huh.
Just a few years prior, in April 1954, some really important trials were conducted. That paved the way for that groundbreaking vaccine.
Wow. So those April trials
Yeah.
had this, ripple effect
Huge ripple effect.
throughout history.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
When you think about it, it's like how many lives have been saved and improved
That's incredible.
because of those trials.
Absolutely. And those advancements weren't limited to just polio either.
Oh, okay.
In April 1963, Dr. Thomas Starzl performed the first successful liver transplant,
Wow.
which opened up a whole new frontier in medical possibilities.
Yeah. It's like April is woven into the fabric of medical history.
It really is. Yeah.
Like pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And it's not just about the science itself.
Whoa.
It represents this hope and resilience,
Okay.
this unwavering pursuit of a healthier future.
I like that.
Yeah.
So we were talking about pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
And we talked before about those cultural touchstones.
Yeah.
The Lion King on Broadway.
Yes.
And ABBA's Eurovision win.
Exactly.
And those events definitely left their mark
Oh, sure.
on pop culture. But April's cultural significance
Yeah.
extends beyond just the stage and the music scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell me more.
Okay, well, for example, April 25th marks ANZAC Sea Day in Australia,
Okay.
which is a day of remembrance for the soldiers who fought at Gallipoli during World War I.
Right.
It's a solemn occasion,
Yeah.
but also one filled with national pride.
So it's kind of a reminder that April's impact
Yeah.
is felt all over the world.
It is.
Connecting people
Yeah.
through shared history and commemoration.
Absolutely. And it's not just about specific events either.
Okay.
April also sees cultural movements gaining momentum.
Like what?
Well, National Poetry Month, for instance, was launched in April 1996.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful celebration of the written word
Yeah.
and the power of language
That.
to move and inspire us.
I love that.
Yeah,
It seems like a perfect fit for April,
it does.
with all the creativity and new beginnings.
Definitely.
So speaking of new beginnings, what about sports?
Oh, yeah.
Any big April milestones in that world?
You bet. The Boston Marathon, the oldest annual marathon in the world, has been taking place every April since 1897.
The Boston Marathon is in April.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
every year.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
Over a century of runners pushing their limits, challenging themselves against the clock and the course.
It really speaks to the human spirit. You know, like this drive to test our boundaries.
Absolutely. And speaking of pushing boundaries, April is also a month that celebrates innovation in transportation. We already talked about Sikorsky's helicopter flight in 1940.
Right.
But did you know that a lot of modern electric vehicles often make their debut at April auto shows?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like April is giving us a glimpse into the future of transportation. Showcasing the cutting-edge technologies that are going to shape how we move about the world.
It makes you wonder what's coming next.
I know. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's not just about cars. April also marks the start of preparations for the Tour de France.
Oh, right.
One of the most demanding cycling events in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, whether you're captivated by sleek electric cars or heart-pounding cycling races, April has got something for everyone.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've got technology, we've got athleticism.
It's all there.
What else could you ask for?
Well, if you're more of a literary soul, April has plenty to offer as well.
Oh, like what?
Shakespeare festivals often take place in April.
Right.
With theaters bringing his timeless plays to life.
Yeah.
And National Poetry Month, as we discussed earlier, encourages us to really immerse ourselves in poetry.
I like that.
You know?
It's like April is this cultural buffet.
It really is.
With something for everyone.
Yeah, something to satisfy every taste and interest.
Yeah, exactly.
From the stage to the page, it's a month that celebrates storytelling and creative expression.
I love that. What about visual art?
Oh, well, April is a fantastic time to visit art exhibitions.
Okay.
Especially those that might showcase poetry or Shakespeare-themed works.
Oh, interesting.
You know, where different art forms kind of intertwine.
Yeah.
Inspire one another.
So it's all about finding inspiration and beauty in unexpected places.
Exactly.
Which seems to be an April specialty.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a month that encourages us to explore different forms of creativity.
Yeah.
And engage with art in all its forms.
For sure. And if you're looking for a connection with nature, April offers some amazing opportunities.
It does.
The cherry blossom season in Japan, known as Hanami, reaches its peak in April, right?
It does.
Tainting the landscapes with these stunning displays of pink and white blooms.
It's really beautiful.
That's something I'd love to see someday.
You should. It's quite a sight.
And even if you know a trip to Japan isn't in the cards, you can still embrace the beauty of spring.
Absolutely.
In your own backyard.
Yeah.
April is the perfect time to start seedlings for your garden. Or participate in community tree planting events for Arbor Day.
It's a good reminder that April is a time of renewal and growth.
Yeah.
Both in the natural world and within ourselves.
So it's a chance to kind of reconnect with nature and nurture new beginnings.
Absolutely. Speaking of renewal, April also invites us to take a moment for reflection and remembrance.
Okay.
ANZAC Day in Australia, which we mentioned earlier, really exemplifies this beautifully.
Okay.
It's a time to honor the sacrifices made by those who serve their country.
Yeah.
And to contemplate the importance of peace and unity.
Right. So in the midst of all the celebrations and festivities, April also holds space. For these moments of solemn contemplation. It's a time to acknowledge the complexities of history and learn from the past.
Exactly.
And while we're talking about, you know, solemn occasions, we can't forget the anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster, which happened on April 26, 1986.
That's right.
And that's a reminder of the potential consequences of human error.
Huge consequences.
And how important it is to have responsible technological advancements.
For sure.
So it's a reminder that, you know, progress isn't always linear. And that with every step forward, there's a responsibility.
Absolutely.
To think about the potential risks and consequences.
That's a really good point.
But even in the face of tragedies like that, April still offers these glimmers of hope.
It does.
You know?
Yeah.
It was in April 1955, just a few years after the devastating polio outbreaks, that the polio vaccine was declared effective. And that marked this turning point. In the fight against that disease.
Absolutely.
So it's like April is constantly reminding us that even in the darkest times, there's always this potential for progress and for healing.
For sure.
It really embodies both the challenges and the triumphs of being human.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
I feel like I've learned so much about April.
Me too.
It's so much more
Yeah.
than just a bridge between winter and summer.
Absolutely.
It's been great exploring all these different sides of April.
Yeah, it has.
Before we wrap up this part,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of the more unexpected, offbeat facts about April that we haven't talked about yet?
Oh, April has plenty of those up its sleeve.
Okay, like what?
Well, for example, did you know that April 14th is National Pecan Day?
Now, that's a holiday I can get behind.
Right. Pecan pie, anyone.
Yeah.
And for all the plant lovers out there,
Yeah.
mark your calendars for April 22nd. It's Global Plantaholics Day.
Plantaholics Day.
Yeah.
I think I qualify for that one.
And of course, we can't forget about the Lyrid meteor showers, which peaks in late April.
Okay.
It's this beautiful celestial spectacle that reminds us of all the wonders of the universe.
I'm adding that to my April bucket list.
You should. It's worth it.
Meteor showers, pecan pie, celebrating my inner plantaholic.
It sounds like a good April to me.
Yeah. April is shaping up to be quite a month.
It's all about finding those moments of awe and wonder.
Yeah.
Those unexpected delights that make life so rich.
Right.
And April just seems to be particularly good at providing those moments.
Yeah, it really does invite us to be present and curious.
It does.
And engaged with the world.
Absolutely.
In all its, fascinating facets.
And as we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, I think it's important to remember that April isn't just about the past or the present.
Okay.
It's also about the future.
Oh.
It's a time for planting seeds, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
That will blossom in the months and years to come.
That's a nice thought.
So as we move through April, let's remember to embrace this spirit of innovation and awareness and possibility.
Yeah.
What seeds will we plant this April?
That's the question.
What will we choose to create and nurture and contribute to the world?
That's a question for all of us.
It is.
I hope you'll join us for part 3.
Yes.
Where we're going to dive even deeper into some of these specific events and milestones.
Looking forward to it.
That make April so unique.
Yeah.
Until then, keep exploring and stay curious. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our April deep dive.
Yeah, we've gone through history, science, culture.
We even talked about some of those quirky April holidays.
Right.
So now I'm kind of ready to zero in on some of the specific events that really make this month stand out.
I think you'll be fascinated by some of the things we're going to talk about.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, so let's start with a moment that really shook the world, literally.
Okay.
On April 18, 1906, the San Francisco earthquake struck.
Oh, yeah.
And it just changed the city's landscape forever.
It's one of those moments that you just remember.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't alive then.
It's a reminder of the power of nature.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also a testament to, the human spirit.
Yeah.
To be able to rebuild and overcome these massive challenges.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what were the stories that came out of that?
The resilience.
Yeah.
And, maybe even innovation that emerged from something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of overcoming obstacles, let's jump back into the world of sports for a second.
Okay.
Did you know that a lot of Jerry Rice's legendary NFL milestones actually happened in April games?
Now that's what I call April magic.
Right.
The month was rooting for him.
It seems like it.
To achieve greatness or something.
It does, doesn't it?
And speaking of athletic achievements,
yeah,
let's go back to the Boston Marathon.
Okay.
I'm still kind of amazed that race has been happening every April since 1897.
Yeah, over a century of runners pushing their limits.
It's pretty mind-boggling.
Isn't it?
It really says something about the human spirit and this drive to test our boundaries.
Absolutely. And speaking of pushing boundaries, April is also a month that celebrates innovation in transportation.
Okay.
We already mentioned, Sikorsky's helicopter test flight back in 1940.
Right.
But did you know that a lot of modern electric vehicles often debut at April auto shows?
Oh, that's interesting. It's like April is giving us this sneak peek into the future of transportation.
Right, like what's next, what's coming.
Yeah, what innovations are just around the corner.
Exactly. And it's not just cars either.
Oh, okay.
April also marks the start of preparations for the Tour de France.
Oh, right.
Which is, one of the most demanding cycling events in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So whether you're into those sleek electric cars or those grueling cycling races, April's got you covered.
It's like this mix of high tech and human athleticism.
Right.
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty cool.
Okay, so what about for those of us who are a little more, bookish?
Oh, well, April has plenty to offer on that front, too.
Like what?
Well, Shakespeare festivals often happen in April.
Okay.
With theaters all over bringing his plays to life.
That makes sense.
And of course, National Poetry Month, like we talked about earlier, really encourages us to dive into the world of poetry.
It really is like a cultural buffet.
It is, isn't it?
With something for everybody.
Something for every taste.
Yeah, exactly.
From the stage to the page, it's all about celebrating creativity and storytelling.
What about visual art?
Oh, well, April is a great time to check out art exhibitions.
Okay.
Especially those that focus on poetry or Shakespeare.
Oh, cool.
So you can see how different art forms can kind of like blend together.
Yeah.
And inspire each other.
So it's all about finding beauty and inspiration and all these unexpected places.
Absolutely, which seems to be an April specialty.
Yeah, it does.
For sure.
And if you're someone who loves nature, April's got some really breathtaking things to offer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, the cherry blossom season in Japan, Hanami.
Yes.
It peaks in April, right?
It does, yeah.
And it just transforms the landscapes into these, incredible displays of pink and white blooms.
It's really a sight to behold.
I would love to see that someday.
You should. It's really something else.
And even if, you can't make it to Japan,
right,
you can still find that spring beauty.
Oh, absolutely.
In your own backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, April is a great time to start seedlings for your garden.
Right.
Or plant a tree for Arbor Day.
It's a good time to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, it is.
It's a reminder that April is a time for renewal and growth.
Yeah.
Both in nature and within ourselves.
It's like a chance to reconnect with the natural world.
Absolutely.
And nurture those new beginnings.
For sure. And speaking of renewal,
okay,
April also kind of invites us to take a moment for reflection.
Okay.
And remembrance. ANZAC Day in Australia, which we mentioned earlier.
Right.
It's a beautiful example of that.
Okay.
It's a time to honor the sacrifices of those who serve their country.
Yeah.
And to really think about the importance of peace and unity.
So even amidst all the celebrations and the excitement, April also makes space.
Right.
For these more solemn moments.
It does.
It's a time to acknowledge history and, and learn from it.
Exactly. And while we're on that topic, let's not forget about the anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Which occurred on April 26, 1986.
Right.
It's a stark reminder of what can happen when human error and technology kind of collide.
Right. So it's a reminder that progress isn't always like a straight line.
No, definitely not.
And that every step forward requires us to think about the risks and the consequences.
Absolutely.
But even with these tragedies, April seems to offer these glimmers of hope.
It does.
I mean, it was in April 1955, just a few years after those devastating polio outbreaks, that the polio vaccine was declared effective.
That's right, a real turning point.
So it's like April is telling us, even in the darkest times, there's potential for progress and healing.
It's a month that really embodies all of it,
Yeah.
The challenges, the triumphs.
It's all part of the human experience.
Exactly.
This has been such an amazing journey through April.
It has been fun, hasn't it?
It really has. I feel like I've gained this whole new appreciation for this month.
I feel like I have too.
It's not just a placeholder between winter and summer.
No, not at all.
It's so much more than that.
It really is.
It's been great exploring all these different facets of April with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
I hope our listeners are feeling just as, inspired and informed as I am.
I hope so too.
Before we wrap up, do you have any, final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Yeah, just as you move through the rest of April, I encourage you to just kind of keep your eyes open for all the subtle ways that this month kind of reveals itself in your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's, the beauty of the spring flowers.
Yeah.
Or the excitement of, a big sporting event.
Right.
Or even just a quiet moment of reflection on, a historical anniversary.
Yeah.
April just offers so many chances for connection and discovery and growth.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And remember, everyone, this is just a taste of what April has to offer.
Right.
We encourage you to check out the source material we used.
Definitely.
Which is April 90 Engaging Facts for Curious Minds.
Yeah. And see what other treasures you can uncover.
Until next time, keep diving deep and stay curious.